Well, let's get started into some of the stories we have for you now. The Nigerian Communications Commission approved a 50% pricing increase for telecom operators, which the presidency has defended as essential to the telecom sector's survival. However, it pointed out that the decision does not require the telecom carriers to raise the rates by 50% right away. It is crucial to emphasize that this approval does not imply that tariffs will automatically rise. In a statement issued on Monday, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu Media Center said operators are free to maintain their current rates if they find them sustainable. And while the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP has asked the Federal High Court to set aside the 50% telecom tariff hike granted to the telecom operators by the Nigerian Communications Commission. It says joined in the suit as a defendant is the NCC. The human rights group described the tariff increase as arbitrary, unconstitutional, unlawful, unfair, and unreasonable. SERAP argued that the increase would raise the average price of calls to 16 naira 50 kobo per minute from 11 naira. The cost of 1 gigabyte of data will now rise to 431 naira 25 kobo from 287 naira 50 kobo per data or gigabyte, and SMS prices to 6 naira from 4 naira. And they sued filed last Friday at the Federal High Court in Abuja. SERAP is asking the court to declare that the unilateral decision by the NCC to authorize telcos to hike telecom tariffs by 50% is arbitrary, unfair, unreasonable, inconsistent, and incompatible with citizens' freedom of expression and access to information, and therefore unconstitutional and unlawful. Well, Gbenga Adebayo is Chairman Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria. He joins me now from our Lagos studios to discuss further on this conversation. Thank you so much, Gbenga, for your time. Well, let's get started. SERAP says the 50% tariff hike is arbitrary, unconstitutional, unlawful, unfair, and unreasonable. What's your response to this?
Thank you for having me. I don't know to whom they have said that, but the fact is that we face significantly high economic headwinds like other sectors of the economy. And what we have done is to approach government to allow us charge rates that are sustainable and that are commensurate with the cost of providing services. So if someone is coming to say it is arbitrary, I don't know the basis on which they are saying it. They say it is unconstitutional. I don't know how that's come about because we haven't done anything against the provisions of the Communications Act 2003. We followed all processes and procedures laid down to seek for tariff review. And I must add that government doesn't determine prices. Our regulator doesn't determine prices. They only regulate based on market forces and based on what we present to them. What we have done is to approach our regulator, showing them more current economic indices, factors of cost and production. With us, we sought for an increase in tariff to reflect our cost of providing services, and graciously they granted a 50% review. And that's where we are now. I don't know what is the illegality in that, and I don't know what is the basis for the arbitrary nature of a review that someone is talking about. I don't know.
I hear you said government does not regulate prices, but let me bring this in because Arise News caught up with the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edo, in Davos, and he said the 50% tariff is a start. Let's perhaps listen to what your reaction. Let's listen to him first, and of course we'll bring in your reactions.
Well, I think I agree with you that there is a need to reflect the fact that over a 12-year period, there has been a rising cost, there has been inflation, and that needs to be reflected, of course, in the business computations for the telcos, which are, of course, they have a regulated, to an extent, their pricing is regulated. They're not just free to give any tariff that they want. So the cost of living that increase that has occurred has to be reflected. But I think 50% is a start. And it's all about compromise, and it's all about the timing and sequencing of some of these changes, necessary as they are. And in this particular case, we want the telcos, who are a very, very critical aspect of the Nigerian economy, of the infrastructure offering that is part of the business environment in Nigeria. We want them operating efficiently. We want them terminating calls efficiently. We don't want dropped calls. We want good quality services from them. And at the same time, we want them growing, employing people, and basically adding to the GDP of the country. And that's why this 50% increase has come through. And I believe that is a situation that will be looked at on a forward-looking basis. As we go forward, there will continue to be review, consultation and discussion in this area.
Well, I'd like you to react to what he said, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edu said. What's your response to that? Because you said earlier that government does not regulate. But, but from his statement, it seems that's an express endorsement to what the telecom operators are asking for.
Yeah, but by way of regulation, I mean they don't control prices. Of course, government has to moderate the upper and the lower limit, but government doesn't fix our prices and they don't control prices. Prices are left to market forces to determine. When we approach the regulator for price review, normally they will manage the upper and the lower level. So when I use the word they do not regulate price, I mean the area of price control. They don't control our prices. Of course, by way of management, they need to manage and regulate how we charge up and lower, but they don't fix our prices. That's what I mean in that regard.
So if 50% in 2025 rather, this year, of course, is a start, then after what period of time would your organization push for a further increase?
What we have requested is based on current market indicators. There are indices of price, there are indexes that determines price and cost of providing services. And our request at this time is based on the dynamics of current market forces. If those dynamics change tomorrow, we are going to have a different conversation. So what we have said is that in 12 years, we haven't had a review of our prices. In the last 2 years, all other costs have gone up. Cost of diesel has gone up. Cost of energy has gone up. Cost of basic, even domestic items have gone up. Cost of aviation has gone up, and the rest of it. Ours remains stagnant, and we came to a point where the rate we were charging was no longer sustainable. We needed to approach government to say if something is not done about allowing us to charge market-reflective tariff, the industry might collapse. And to salvage that, government has graciously granted the 50%. Again, if those indicators and dynamics changes tomorrow, we will again present the same argument to government, showing reflective market forces and saying to them, this is not where we should be. Yeah.
So what will change after this 50% tariff hike? Should Nigerians expect better service, or that can only be achieved after a 100% hike? So what are we looking at? What should we be expecting? Because I know the minister did say that, well, they don't want drop call.
Part of the obligation on us is now to improve on quality of services. Unfortunately, because we have left it for a bit too long, many things has gone a bit bad on the various networks. So operators now have to commence the process of ordering system changes, system upgrades, system improvement, and deploying services that will optimize the networks. We haven't been able to attract investment in the last 2 years. Now that work has begun. So first, we are starting with transparency of our tariff. Government has mandated that we must make the tariff more friendly, more flexible, and more easy to understand. So we are doing what we call tariff simplification. That's in the first season. And then we're also addressing the quick wins, areas where we can tweak here and there to improve on service quality. We are doing it. And then the major step will be when you have new systems injected into the networks to improve on the service delivery that we offer to people. But I will say that we are committed to making things better. It's a very good start. We have better days ahead of us. And the assurance for the public is that things will get better and better. If something was not done before now, and there are consequences for the inaction, but we thank God that government has done something now to enable us look forward, and looking forward is to do what is right to optimize the various networks with the support of subscribers and other stakeholders. Okay.
Speak to this issue, because quite a lot of people are saying, what exactly is holding back quality service from the telcos all this while? Is it a cost that have held back further investment? What exactly? So perhaps you need to also speak to that. Then are you also expecting foreign exchange stability in 2025, and how would that help operations of your association going forward? I think you need to speak to these issues before I let you go.
Yeah, we do hope for stability in the foreign exchange market, because that is important. Because what we are also seeing is that some of the obligations that are overdue that we are now servicing, there are services procured at the old exchange rate, which have to be paid at the prevailing exchange rate. Contracts that we committed to years ago, they were committed to at the old exchange rate, which has now to be serviced at the current exchange rate. So we are hoping that currency market will be stable. We're hoping that the exchange rate will be stable, so that we can have some form of stability in our obligation, in our backward obligation, and also the forward-going obligations. That's in the first instance. In the second instance is that a lot more will be done in terms of network optimization. We couldn't have done much under the circumstances we faced, because we come to a point where the industry was really going south. And unfortunately, when we look at the performance of the sector, we seem to be looking at the performance of a few big players. We have other smaller players who may actually be victims of the situation that we have been in. Some of them may actually not come out of the problems that we have been in because of the huge debt profile that they have, both within the industry and outside of the industry. So it's a combination of many factors. But the assurance and commitment we are making to the public, now that we are where we are, we'll do a lot more to make things better. And the conclusion, as directed also by the government, is we must do a lot more in terms of network improvement and optimization. That's what we set out to do. The work has begun, and people will begin to see improvement and changes here.
Okay. Before I let you go, finally, going back to the SERAP lawsuit, what's your message to Nigerians that say now is not a time to be raising tariffs? Because quite a lot of Nigerians that say, well, perhaps this is not the right time. And then, of course, give us your outlook in terms of what you're looking at in the year.
What is fair. But again, I ask everyone, what hasn't gone up in the last 24 months? What hasn't gone up? These are not our makings. These are a function of the entire global economic recession, and a function of our economic situation as a country. And as an industry, we are not able to absorb the impact of that on our operations. Because if we so do, it will weigh us down. We will not even be able to provide the basic services. Today, we are the infrastructure that supports other infrastructures. Anything happening in telecom sites will affect other sectors: commerce, banking, e-health, education, and the rest of it. And we can't afford that to happen as a We've made some good progress in terms of network infrastructure and deployment and availability. We can only build on that and make things better. We can't allow things to go south by not doing the right investment. And to mitigate against that is why we've approached government. Government have said, do this and do this, approve that, do this and do this at this time. We're going to set out to do that. And certainly in the outlook, things will get better. Things are getting better, and they will get better. I think we're in a better place than we were in the previous years.
Well, talk about outlook quickly. What are you looking at in the year? How would you describe 2025?
Outlook is bright. Outlook is bright. Now we'll expect to attract more investment, particularly foreign direct investment. No one will invest in a sector that is said to be collapsing. So now that we have some light at the end of the tunnel, we'll expect to attract more investment. We'll optimize our networks, like I've said again and again. We'll provide better quality of services. And looking at the role that we play in driving the economy, we think that not only are we going to attract more foreign direct investment, we'll do more job creation, and we'll also have positive impact on other sectors that are dependent on our services.
Well, hopefully, of course, we'll take your word for it. Nigerians, of course, will see better services from the telcos in 2025. Thank you so much for your time. Gbenga Adebayo is the Chairman, Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria. Thank you for your time.